Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive where we're going to be tackling a topic that you're clearly pretty excited about:
Yeah,
genetic algorithms.
for sure.
You sent over some really interesting stuff, uh, e- especially those excerpts from Hands-On Genetic Algorithms with Python,
Oh yeah, great book.
second edition.
Love that one.
And it's pretty obvious that you want to go beyond just the theory
Right.
and really get into how these things work in practice.
Absolutely. I think that's the most exciting part. Actually seeing these things in action.
Yeah, for sure.
Getting your hands dirty with the code and
Yeah, and you even included like Python code snippets in real world applications.
yeah, it's great to see that level of engagement. It means we're going to have some fun with this one for sure.
Definitely. All right, so let's set our mission for this deep dive.
Okay.
You want to understand the nuts and bolts of what genetic algorithms are,
Yeah.
how they function, what their strengths and weaknesses are,
Mm,
and of course, how they're being applied in real world scenarios. Precisely.
yeah.
And I think this book is a fantastic launch pad for that.
Right.
Right off the bat, it defines genetic algorithms as search algorithms inspired by natural evolution.
Yeah, it's a really clear way to grasp that core idea.
Yeah, I love that connection to Darwinian evolution.
Yeah. Survival of the fittest.
The whole concept of survival of the fittest reproduction,
Right.
passing on those beneficial traits.
And just like in nature, this process can lead to some really groundbreaking solutions.
Oh, absolutely. Have you heard about that logistics company
Oh, yeah.
that used a genetic algorithm to optimize their delivery route?
Yeah, and save millions of dollars.
And ended up saving millions in fuel costs.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
It's a great example of how powerful these algorithms can be.
It really is. It's that constant process of selection and refinement
Yeah.
that really drives them towards those optimal solutions.
It's like you're breeding plants or animals for like desirable traits.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine those algorithms evolving just like we do that with plants and animals.
Mhm.
But here, we're essentially breeding code.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, but how do they actually work?
No,
Is it as complicated as it sounds?
it's really not.
Okay.
The book lays out the key steps, and they're surprisingly straightforward. You start with a population of random solutions, and then you evaluate their fitness against your goal, and you select the top performers for reproduction.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where things get interesting. We use crossover to combine parts of those strong solutions and mutation to introduce those random tweaks.
Okay.
And you just repeat this process over and over, and the population gradually evolves towards those optimal solutions.
So it's not about finding that single perfect solution right away.
Right.
It's about letting those solutions kind of evolve
Exactly.
over time.
You got it.
That's really cool. And the book also dives into the advantages and limitations
Yeah.
of genetic algorithms. And one of the things that really struck me was their ability to handle complex problems that traditional math just can't even touch.
It's true. They're like problem-solving ninjas cutting through that complexity
Right.
with ease.
Exactly.
They're not faced by noise and uncertainty,
Yeah.
which is crucial in real-world applications. And plus, we can supercharge them using parallel processing.
Oh, wow.
Imagine splitting that workload across multiple processors, watching them crunch through those evaluations simultaneously.
Okay, so we're talking speed and efficiency here.
You got it.
But the book does emphasize that picking the right way to represent those solutions and defining what fitness actually means is essential.
Absolutely.
It's not just a one-size-fits-all.
No, you're absolutely right. Choosing the right chromosome representation, the way you encode those solutions as data, it's crucial, just like defining that fitness function, which quantifies how good a solution is. It's the foundation of the whole process.
Yeah, for sure. And this is where your expertise really comes in because the book mentions different types of algorithms, like eSimple and EMI plus Lambda. Are there any key differences we should be aware of?
Excellent question. So eSimple is a basic generational algorithm that replaces the entire population with offspring in each generation.
Okay.
It's great for getting started, on the other hand. You've got EMU plus Lambda, which uses a more sophisticated approach. Maintains a population of muck parents and generates Lambda offspring. And this strategy can lead to faster convergence and potentially better solutions.
So it's like choosing the right tool for the job.
Exactly.
Okay. And honestly, this is where I get truly excited is seeing these algorithms in action.
Me too. Let's get into it.
This is where those real-world applications that you mentioned come into play.
Let's dive into some examples.
Let's do it.
The book doesn't disappoint from optimizing those delivery routes like we talked about earlier. to tackling complex constraint satisfaction problems like the classic N-Queens puzzle. The range is incredible.
I remember struggling with that N-Queens puzzle in college,
Oh, wow.
trying to place those queens on a chessboard so they wouldn't attack each other.
It's a brain teaser.
It was a real brain teaser. It makes you realize that these algorithms can tackle problems that would just take humans ages.
Precisely. And what's fascinating is how they can even be used in machine learning to optimize the architecture of neural networks, leading to more efficient and accurate models.
So we're not just talking about solving puzzles, we're talking about shaping the future of AI.
Exactly. And one of the most exciting areas where this is happening is in explainable AI or XAI. Remember those counterfactuals we talked about?
Yeah.
Well, genetic algorithms can explore those what-if scenarios and help us understand why an AI makes specific decisions.
So we're not just building powerful AI.
Right.
We're also making it transparent and understandable.
Absolutely. It's about ensuring that AI serves humanity, not the other way around.
For sure. And then there are even more mind-boggling applications like image reconstruction.
Yes.
The book mentioned using overlapping polygons to recreate an image.
It sounds like science fiction.
It does. It sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
It really does.
It's incredible how these algorithms can tackle such complex, multidimensional problems.
It is, and this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
The book also touches on other fascinating evolutionary algorithms like genetic programming,
Yeah.
neat particle swarm optimization,
Right.
each with its own unique strengths and weaknesses, all drawing inspiration from nature's problem-solving abilities.
We've covered a lot of ground.
You have?
We've explored the core concepts, the inner workings, the pros and cons, and even dipped our toes into some real-world applications.
We've barely scratched the surface.
I know.
But before we move on to the hands-on aspects and the power of concurrency, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned so far.
Okay, great idea. What are some key takeaways that our listeners should really grasp before we dive into the next part of this deep dive?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that genetic algorithms are powerful tools for problem solving, inspired by the elegance of natural evolution. They can handle complexity, noise, and uncertainty, and they have applications across a wide range of fields.
Yeah, they're not magic, though. Choosing the right representation and fitness function is essential.
Absolutely.
And understanding the nuances of different algorithms like E-simple and E-mu plus lambda can make all the difference.
Absolutely. And while we've seen their potential in areas like logistics, AI, and image reconstruction, it's important to remember that this field is constantly evolving.
It makes you wonder what incredible breakthroughs are just around the corner.
Exactly. And that's what makes this field so exciting to explore.
Well, on that note, we'll be back with part 2, where we'll get our hands dirty with code.
Yes.
Exploring the D8 framework and how to implement these amazing algorithms in Python, so stay tuned.
I can't wait.
Welcome back. I'm so ready to dive into the nitty-gritty of actually implementing these genetic algorithms.
Perfect timing.
Okay.
That's exactly where the book takes us next. It introduces this D framework,
Okay.
a powerful tool for building and running these algorithms in Python. It's like having a specialized toolkit for crafting evolutionary solutions.
From what I've seen, it seems surprisingly user-friendly,
It is.
even for someone who's not a coding wizard.
Absolutely, and in Python too.
Yeah, Python is so versatile.
It is Python's readability, and its extensive libraries make it a perfect fit for working with genetic algorithms.
Yeah.
And DeepPate takes full advantage of that. It provides a structured approach to creating, manipulating, and evolving those populations of solutions that we talked about earlier.
So it's about creating those digital genes that will be passed down and evolved
Boy.
over generations.
You got it.
Okay, so where do we even begin with this? What are the key components of this DeepPay framework?
Well, it starts with a creator module.
Okay.
Think of it as a meta factory, a way to build the essential building blocks for your genetic algorithm.
Okay.
You define your chromosome representation the way your solutions are encoded as data, whether it's binary strings, real-valued vectors, or even more complex structures.
So it's like creating those digital genes.
Exactly.
Okay.
You also define your fitness function here, which tells the algorithm how good each solution is.
Right.
And you can specify how those fitness values are stored and compared.
It's like setting the rules of the game.
Yeah.
Defining what success looks like.
Exactly. And then comes the toolbox module, your Swiss Army knife for genetic algorithms.
Ooh, a Swiss Army knife.
I know, right? It's packed with functions for selecting the best individuals performing crossover to combine their traits.
Right.
And introducing mutations to explore those new possibilities.
It's like a recipe book for evolution
I love that.
with all the ingredients and techniques you need.
That's a great way to put it.
To create powerful algorithms. The best part is it comes with built-in algorithms like eSimple and EMI plus Lambda.
Yes, you don't have to code everything from scratch.
That's a huge relief.
These algorithms handle the main loop. That process of evaluating fitness, selecting parents,
Right.
generating offspring, and repeating the cycle. It's like having a tireless assistant
Okay.
that just manages that entire evolutionary process for you.
So we can focus on designing like the core elements of our algorithm.
Right.
The chromosome representation, the fitness function, the genetic operators that will drive evolution, the book actually walks through creating custom operators.
Yes, that's the beauty of DIEP.
Yeah.
It's flexibility. You can tailor it to your specific problem,
Okay.
but it also offers advanced techniques to boost performance.
Yeah.
Take elitism, for example.
Okay.
It ensures that the very best individuals from each generation are carried over to the next.
So you're not accidentally losing them?
Exactly, preventing them from being accidentally lost during selection or mutation.
So it's like preserving the elite genes to make sure the next generation benefits.
Exactly. It helps avoid getting stuck in local
Right.
those suboptimal solutions that might seem good but aren't truly the best.
Right.
And then there's niching and sharing, which is particularly useful when you have multiple good solutions scattered across that search space.
Oh, okay. So instead of everyone converging on one solution, you're encouraging diversity
Yeah,
and exploring different promising areas.
It's a clever way to avoid getting trapped in a single evolutionary path.
That's really cool. But what about real-world constraints? Because not all solutions are created equal.
Right.
Especially when you have limited resources or like specific rules to follow.
You're right. Constraints are a fact of life. And DEEP provides ways to handle them gracefully. You can incorporate those constraints directly into your fitness function,
Okay.
penalizing solutions that violate them. This guides the algorithm towards those feasible solutions that meet those real-world requirements.
So you're setting boundaries for the evolutionary process.
Precisely. And the book doesn't just talk about these techniques in abstract terms. It shows you the code step by step, how to implement them using DEEP.
It's one thing to grasp the theory, but seeing the actual code snippets and how it all comes together, that's where the real learning happens.
Absolutely. It's like having a blueprint that guides you through the process of building your own evolutionary solutions.
This DEEP framework sounds incredibly powerful. It seems like it takes care of so much of the heavy lifting,
It really streamlines the process.
allowing us to focus on the creative aspects of designing the algorithms.
It does, but there's another level we can unlock.
Okay.
One that harnesses the full power of modern computing concurrency.
This is where things get really interesting.
I know, right?
I can't wait to see how we can supercharge these algorithms even further.
That's exactly what we'll explore in the next part of our deep dive. We'll unlock the power of parallel processing and distributed computing to accelerate our genetic algorithms to unprecedented speeds.
I am so ready. Let's do it. Welcome back to the deep dive. I am so pumped for this part. It's time to unleash the full potential of genetic algorithms
I don't know, right?
by tapping into the power of concurrency.
Yes, this is where things get really exciting.
This is it.
Concurrency opens up a whole new dimension for these algorithms. As we've kind of hinted at throughout this deep dive, genetic algorithms are inherently parallelizable. Each individual in the population can be evaluated independently.
So instead of processing them one by one, we can use the power of multiple processors, even multiple computers. To speed things up dramatically, it's like having a whole team of digital evolutionists
Well, I love that analogy.
working together.
It's perfect.
Right, so how do we actually make this happen?
So the book dives into the nuts and bolts of how we can achieve this. It breaks down those typical bottlenecks in a genetic algorithm, like the fitness evaluation,
Right.
which can be really time-consuming for complex problems. Even the genetic operators themselves, like selection, crossover, mutation, can benefit from parallel execution.
Okay, so if we can spread those tasks across multiple processors or even multiple machines,
Yes,
we can cut down that processing time significantly.
absolutely. So the book introduces two powerful approaches: Python's built-in multiprocessing module
Okay.
and the Scoop library for distributed computing.
Multiprocessing sounds like a good place to start. It's about using those multi-core CPUs that are so common these days, right?
Precisely. The book uses the one-max problem as an example. Remember, the goal is to find a binary string with the maximum number of ones. It's a simple problem to grasp, but you can make that fitness evaluation more computationally intensive to really simulate a real-world scenario.
Oh, okay. So we can really crank up the complexity and put this multiprocessing to the test. So how does it actually work?
So we use Python's multiprocessing module, specifically the pool class, to create a pool of worker processes.
Okay.
And each worker takes on the task of evaluating a subset of individuals in the population, splitting that workload across multiple cores.
So instead of that single processor slogging through it, we've got this team working in parallel.
Exactly. That's got to be a huge time saver.
Yeah, that's amazing. And DCs integrates seamlessly with multiprocessing.
It does. You can parallelize your genetic algorithm with just a few lines of code.
Wow, that's incredible. But what about when we need even more horsepower?
Okay.
When even multiprocessing isn't enough?
That's where distributed computing comes in. Imagine harnessing the power of multiple machines connected over a network, like having your own personal supercomputer.
Oh, wow. Now that is next level evolution.
Yeah, I know, right? The book talks about the Scoop library for distributed computing in Python.
Yeah.
So how does that fit in?
Right.
So Coop is designed to work hand in hand with DIG.
Okay.
It allows you to distribute the workload of your genetic algorithm across a cluster of machines. It takes care of all the complexities of communication and synchronization between those machines, so you can really focus on designing your algorithm.
So we've got an entire army of digital evolutionists all working together.
I love it.
Right. But I imagine there are some challenges with distributed computing, right?
Yeah.
Like network latency and the overhead of managing all those machines.
You're right, it's not a silver bullet.
Yeah.
There are trade-offs to consider.
Yeah.
But for those really demanding optimization problems, distributed computing can be a game changer.
For sure. Okay, so we've got multiprocessing, we've got distributed computing,
Yeah.
but the book takes it even further.
Oh, yeah.
It introduces like a client-server architecture for scaling genetic algorithms.
This is where things get really interesting.
Okay, what's that all about?
We separate the genetic algorithm logic from the fitness evaluation process. Imagine a specialized fitness evaluation server that can handle those computationally intensive calculations, leaving the main algorithm free to focus on evolution.
Oh, wow. So it's like having a dedicated team of number crunchers
Yes.
working behind the scenes. The book even shows how to build this server using Flask,
Yeah.
a Python framework, and how to deploy it to the cloud using Zappa for serverless execution on AWS Lambda.
Exactly.
Oh,
We can tap into the virtually limitless power of the cloud to supercharge our genetic algorithms.
uh-huh.
This is where the future of evolutionary computing lies.
It's incredible to think how far we've come, from those basic concepts of natural selection to these powerful techniques for harnessing modern computing.
It's been quite a journey.
It really has. We've explored the inner workings of genetic algorithms, the deep framework, advanced techniques, and now the amazing world of concurrency.
We did it.
I have to say, I'm blown away by the possibilities. This is more than just optimizing routes or solving puzzles. This is like shaping the future of AI, designing new materials, even personalizing medical treatments.
It is an incredibly exciting field with the potential to revolutionize countless industries.
It makes you wonder, what will the next generation of genetic algorithms be capable of?
Right. What problems will they solve?
What problems will they solve exactly?
That's the beauty of it. The future is wide open, and it's up to us, the explorers, the innovators, the curious minds, to keep pushing those boundaries of what's possible.
I love that. Well said. I want to thank you for joining us on this incredible deep dive into the world of genetic algorithms.
The pleasure was all mine.
It's been an absolute pleasure exploring this field with you.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and who knows, you might just be the one to make the next groundbreaking discovery in this ever-evolving field.
That's a wrap on this episode of The Deep Dive. Until next time, keep those minds curious and those algorithms evolving.